sugar everywhere.
Is it time? Is it time for Chang to make a comeback?
Stop trying to make Chang happen. It's not going to happen.
Well, we've told you, it's Goma Dread and Lore carrying his Tantalus field.
Lore field.
We told you this. That's what works.
Can't prove that yet. I haven't seen it work.
That's how you kill captains.
Oh man, you know, I just realized you could fit Lore and a fleet captain and Tantalus field on a sphere. That seems good.
Except Tantalus Field says specifically Enterprise. It does not say Mirror Universe. It says Enterprise. Is not a faction restriction. It is a ship restriction, and Lore only gets around faction restrictions.
You make me sad.
I know. I ruin everybody's fun. I'm the fun killer. I'm the parade rainer.
Take it to Worf. They might just see it our way.
Well, no, please no. That actually does raise a question for me. This upgrade may only be equipped for a Krenim ship, for example. Is that a faction restriction?
No, that is a racial restriction of some sort. It's weird.
So
probably just like the Tholians.
So Lore can use those?
No. I am saying no. Worf will say whatever Worf wants to say. But
you never know what them guys are going to say.
Worf will shake the magic 8-ball.
We're kind of a rules council anyways.
We're the only ones answering posts on the damn rules council, and I know that.
Yeah. So
sorry,
I don't know. People kind of believe us more than Worf anyways.
We make we read the cards and we make more sense out of them.
You know why? Because we actually justify our answers.
Well, it's because we have a mathematician, a guy who played Magic for 2 decades, and, if you'll pardon me, Dan, probably the best attack wing player in the world.
Oh, yeah. No offense taken. I mean, you know, we got a bunch of guys that have gamed at different levels in different games. And, you know, my buddy here, Kurt, he was a big Magic guy. Me and him played Magic, but him more so than me. And we just sit around and, you know, just from our Magic experience on how cards interact together and the way they're worded, shake our heads at what the Worf comes up, because it's just not, you know, like common practice in the industry of some of the rulings they just come up with.
You know, it's funny, actually, that you should mention that. I didn't know you were Magic, but that's interesting because it turns out, I was talking to Carl, obviously he let me stay at his house after Colorado, sweetest guy I ever met. Turns out he actually nearly went pro as a Magic player. The only thing that stopped him was starting a family. So it seems like a lot of high-level attack wing players used to play Magic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got that deck building, you know, aspect of it. That, you know, how you synergize different cards together to get the most out of an actual build, instead of just throwing ships out there, you know, and that already have a pre-built-in captain and weapons, and say, you know, here it is, let's just fight.
I don't know. I think just saying that a lot of Star Trek attack wing players played Magic is not saying as much, since pretty much everyone I know or have ever talked to has played Magic at some point in their life.
I have never played Magic.
Never played it, huh?
David, really, you're disappointing and sad.
You spend a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I
don't want to spend a lot of money. So
no, and I hear that. Like, why did I stop playing Magic? Because in August, all of my decks were stolen. It would cost me $3,000 to replace them. I really don't want to do that.
Yeah. Good old Star Trek with predetermined boosters, and you always know what you're getting for $15.
Which is why I'm getting really into Deadlands Doomtown.
Yes. Before we get too much further away from Star Trek, or and to not bash Worf anymore, because even though we're really good at that, but you know, just to finish off, you know, what do you think, Daniel, about the future of the game? Like, what would you like to see for the game, kind of as a whole, like both design-wise and you know, just gameplay-wise?
You know, I've put it out there in the forums I would like to see the Wharf just gotten rid of completely as it stands right now, gotten rid of the OP suggested format, and let's start over again with what we've got left here with the guys who've been playing, and let us guys, you know, kind of come to some kind of consensus on how these things can work. Because here's the thing, everything that's been done has not brought anybody back to the game, and it hasn't, you know, stopped people from leaving that were going to leave anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So why pander to them guys when you got the guys here that are going to play? We're the hardcore players. We're the future of the game because we're the ones that's going to buy the stuff and show up to the tournaments. So tailor the game to us, you know. And you know, the other guys that, you know, want to play, you know, not so, you know, play more casually than we play, you know, that's fine. You know, whatever you do in your own home, that's cool. Just like gay marriage, you know, whatever you do, you know. And if it doesn't bother me, I don't care. But, you know, when we're talking about, you know, the guys that, you know, are going to show up and be the limelight of this whole thing, then let's tailor the game to us. And, you know, guys may seem, you know, the board, you know, I really like playing them, you know, and you know, I think they maybe need to be softened up so some of these other, you know, factions and ships and stuff could come into play. I'm kind of the guy that's got to own one of everything. So I've got this huge collection that 90% of I don't even play.
Collecting dust.
I just happen to have it. And it'd be nice to be able to go to tournaments with some of that stuff and be able to play with it. I mean, there's always going to be, you know, that 30% of what they sell really isn't playable. I mean, you know, you're not going to see Tholians played and, you know, the Gorn played and those kinds of things. But
don't tell Will you're not going to see the Tholians played. You'll make him cry.
Hey, I know. I only played them once.
Really, that's the kind of the direction the game needs to go. Or, you know, I think it's going to continue down the path it's going, and it's just going to slowly wean itself out of existence. You know, there's just not going to be the monetary deal there for WizKids to just keep going with it at the rate they're going right now. And you're going to see the OPs go away, and when the OPs go away, the hardcore players like us are, you know, well, why bother anymore?
Like, well, I've got everything already. There's nothing new coming out. What else do I do?
Right. I mean, and so I'm stuck with all this stuff. And like I said, I've got, you know, one of everything, at least, and multiples of lots of things. And, you know, I love the game. I'd like to see it kind of harken back to the days of the Wild West when it first started, because really, that's where you saw all the imagination in this game come in, is when you could build a super cube for 120 points, or back then 100, and put, you know, all kinds of, you know, shield upgrades and defense upgrades and attack negation and beef up your firepower and all that. And, you know, that was really fun, you know, because here's the thing, you just didn't know what was going to show up and what you were going to have to play with. I mean, and it was just fun, because you could have, you know, win one OP one week and show up to the next and, you know, get blanked because, you know, somebody found out, you know, a couple guys came in with something that just wasn't going to, you know, have any more of that. And with the way they kind of nerfed it with the OP format now, I think they took the imagination and the deck building out of the game that, you know, that used to be there, that really, you know, made this super fun and did show, you know, the Federation or Klingons or, you know, everybody could show up and play that day.
So let me ask you this. So before, this is with, you were talking about just the big dreadnoughts and stuff and all the fun things you could do with them. So would you say that basically just kind of this strategy with some of the new rulings and the new point limits for ship requirements and stuff, would you say that kind of, I don't know, homogenized the strategy, kind of dulled it down a little bit?
I mean, you know, I wasn't there when they came up with the ruling. My guess is there was a lot of crying about some of the cross-factioning and the the build-ups of cards that they were calling broken, you know, the pairing up of different things that were synergizing each other. And
costs and dispersion field, wing and barrel, that sort of thing.
That whole thing, and then the Borg were really starting to come in under their own, you know, and they had, you know, the Borg missiles, and they had, you know, the ablative armors, and, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, people were going, blah, blah, this, and blah, that's too powerful, that's too this, and that's too that. Well, you know, here's the thing, when those things were happening, I just remember hearing, you know, all the time in BGG, reading about, you know, some guy came with this crazy build, who would have thought this ever worked? You know,
Dreadnought Interceptor.
Like that disruptor beam deal that guy came up with and pushing you off the board with that disruptor beam. I don't remember if you guys...
you mean energy dissipator.
That's correct, right. That was on that Bajoran Fighters or whatever it was.
Right. Interceptor Dreadnought.
Interceptor, yeah.
Yeah. And that guy came up with that deal. I mean, that's awesome. That's crazy. You took a ship that nobody thought nothing about. You took a weapon that on the surface looked kind of nice, but it was just not quite usable. And he found a way to synergize those cards and make that work. And it worked well. I mean, I think he won at, what was it, Gen Con? He won the big tournament there last year at Gen Con with it?
Someone might have brought it to Gen Con, but I know where the origins for that ended up from coming from a guy in my venue. Eric, I know you're not watching, but this is for you.
But yeah, I mean, and I just remember those kinds of things were coming out. It seemed like every week something new came out with all them different combinations, and it was just awesome because you would just see some. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, I want to try that. You know, and then when you were putting some together, there was just so many possibilities that you could see. You couldn't mitigate against every one of them because there was just too many of them. And so I think, we need to go back to that where, like you said, for us Magic players, it puts that back into the game where we get those combinations. And if you want to bring a Voyager Knot or a Super Cube, do it because there's plenty of answers to those. If you want to bring, the double ball, double fighter, there's going to be plenty of answers for those things if you allow some of these things and get rid of some of this nerfing that's happened in this suggested OP format that really has, like you said, homogenized what you see at the big events now. Really, it's Borg, and I would like to see other things, but I never play them.
Even on top of that, like ever since the 3-ship recommendation, every fleet I've actually seen has been pretty much 3 ships. There's no 4-ship or 5-ship swarms. There's no, and you can't use the 2-ship, 2 ships or the dreadnoughts.
One exception. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of 2 ships and 2 fighters.
That is the case.
That's technically 4 ships, but I don't think I've seen 4
of anything else.
How are they called? Capital ships, non-fighter ships.
I played one for a little while, where I brought a cheap fighter, a Coronac. Oh God, what else was it? A battle cruiser and something else. There was 4 ships that were pretty much just stripped down. Oh, whatever the buy-in was. That's right, because you always got a buy-in. So I brought those 3 ships and got the buy-in, but they were all just stripped down, throw a lot of dice in the early days of this. And then, once the double spheres started hitting real hard, then, he had to come back to a different kind of thinking. But that's about the most I really seen is, somebody putting some, a scimitar with something and a fighter or a battle cruiser and something with a fighter. But other than that, really, it's come down to a couple of spheres and what you're going to juice them up with.
So here's something. Let me open this up to the floor. What do you guys think has been the most? What do I want to say? The most, I'm going to say, damaging release to Star Trek. Like the thing that brought us to where we are today, where we're talking about things getting, everything's getting too similar and everything's the same, and these are the things we always want to run just because we feel like we have to run them.
It wasn't a release, it was the May ruling.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding? The May ruling alone obsoleted so many builds. It obsoleted scan token stacking, it obsoleted multi-action, it obsoleted Evadager, it obsoleted Tiny Prize, it obsoleted... Oh, God, what else am I missing? Triple attack cancellation, but I'm not going to cry too hard over that one. It obsoleted... God, I mean, the list goes on, Like, how many... You said, when it came out, there were literally like 300 cards that it affected, and all of them, it made the game less fun. Literally every single one, except for triple attack cancellation. And that is far, far, far too high a price to pay for that.
Yeah, they could have just worded triple. They could have changed attack cancellation.
They could have banned conditional surrender and barrel. They could have errated them. They could have changed Wenyun and Sopek, which I don't think would have helped that much, but whatever. I mean,
yeah.
All
they had to do was make additional surrender a discard and barrel on a hole of 2 or less or 3 or less, and that would have fixed those cards.
Well, I mean, you can still put Vero on a scout cube in that case, but at least that takes work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, for me, it's the 360 board being pointed where they are. I have no problem with spheres and diamonds and tack cubes in this game, but they needed to be pointed higher, just like we saw the super cube. That thing costs more than the sum of its stats times 2. And if they had done that with the sphere and the diamond and the tack cube, I think we would have had a healthier game.
And mine is, I'll go right back, like I said, the OP suggested format when they came out with that. I mean,
that was my close number 2.
it just, it forces you to have the 3 ships, and the max you can put on any one ship is that 50. And it just, just killed so many things that you could do with certain, cards. It murdered a lot of combinations because you just can't get there having to divide up into 3 ships and then only going to 50 points.
Healthy combinations, let's add. Not...
Right. There's still plenty of combinations out there, but there was some, like I said, playing a knot or playing a super cube, had its place, and it could do certain things, and there was plenty of variations of those to go by that just could take care of so many different things. You could vary it this way or vary it that way, but when they did that, basically it became a game mostly of min-max now. Get the most dice you can out there, most quality you can get, and get them as fast as you can get them. Because it's not about attack cancellation anymore. You're gonna get some of that. It's not about putting a bunch of ox tokens on somebody. It's just about wiping out of your opponent.
I find this kind of hilarious because between the 4 of us, I think I'm going to bring it full circle. Because when I originally asked this question, the first thing on my mind, and I wanted to see if you guys had any different ideas, the first thing on my mind, of course, was fighters. The fighters, which require a certain hull of ship to be able to be brought, which they ruled on. Like bringing a set of fighters along now seems like a no-brainer in almost every case. Like between the way they're pointed and the way their mechanics work, it seems like they've disrupted. They have been the next big disruption in just fleet building. Like again with the 360 Arc of the Borg, I think they should have been pointed differently or cost more or things like that. But I mean, almost all builds. And I know this is not quite the case because we saw the Canadian Nationals has 2 spheres and a science vessel. But in most cases, I'm seeing everyone's trying to fit in that one set of fighters or even that second set of fighters, and I don't think I've ever seen. You'll probably hardly ever see any build that just chooses to forego fighters because they're just such a good darn deal.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing is they mitigate those big dice attacks too because they can land 6 for 6 all crits, and guess what? You just remove 1 chit. That's it.
Now I like the idea of fighters because that is a nice way to punish someone who goes big dreadnought. I can throw a lot of dice, but it's not going to hurt because you have a lot of ships. The problem is it works on everything. Like if we had a couple more weapons that actually let you attack like 2 or 3 times the same ship, I don't think it would be nearly as bad. Or again, just increasing their points a little bit. But
yeah, the issue is, as it currently is, fight in the current game environment with the cards we have, fighters are either going to be broken or useless every time. Depending entirely on how much attack dice.
And Daniel will understand when I talk about this, because you do a little bit of D&D, don't you? The D&D Attack Wing. The troop rules for D&D Attack Wing. There's a lot of area of effect attacks in D&D Attack Wing, but the troop rules are that if they get hit by an area of an attack, then you can lose multiple of your tokens or your figures at the same time.
Right.
Something like that doesn't quite exist in this game. So the fighter, so it's like having the best of well, everything you can get. And that's the problem in the D&D ones, is that they are just way too weak. They are pointed high, and they are one of the few creatures that you can actually reduce their attack value before they get a chance to attack.
Right. You know, and as far as the fighters were concerned on Star Trek here, you know, I think the closest they had to having them right is when they first came out as a resource. You could only have one set of them. They could only shoot for a range of 2. You know, so that kind of helped.
No upgrades.
You know, yeah, there was no upgrades. You know, you can squirt a little one out your rear end as you went by, but it was, you know, not a whole lot. But you know, that's as close to anything that was, you know, now considered broken, that they started off in the right direction, and then they kind of just made it worse by, you know, putting out, you know, one that you could buy that had all these beefed up extras on it that can, you know, really take advantage of, you know, the fighters.
That you could take multiples of and did not eat up your resource slot.
Exactly. And now, you know, and then add a little beef up to it. Now you can shoot to 3. You can add extra chits. You can, you know, add some things that add some attack negation on those. They've got that one card that if you just got destroyed or whatever, you know, you don't really get destroyed. And so, you know, like I said, if they started off right with that resource, but then I think, you know, that's when they went wrong, is when they, you know, made it where you could buy it and put multiples out there and really beef them up.
And
they got greedy. They wanted to make money on it, and they said, "Oh yeah, let's do retail."
And the last thing I just wanted to think about was I haven't had enough time or opportunity to play the new Star Wars game. The Star Wars Armada, but they treat their fighter squadrons a little differently. From what I understand, like, all the fighters either move first or move last, and they attack independently. And instead of having just a maneuver dial, they have a ruler that you just move them with, so they can go.
And they move or they shoot.
Really? Wow, that would be really bad in this game, though.
But if you had it be something like, I'm sorry, really bad as in they're still too strong for this game, or really bad as in they would just suck in this game?
They would just be terrible. Moving or shooting, that alone would cripple them.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, because I was thinking another problem, just another minor problem, I mean, going through just all of things, getting everything off the chest, is that even without spending the extra points on a captain, they start with a decent captain skill. And the whole reducing captain skill as you destroy things seems like a weird tacked-on mechanic that wasn't necessary. Like, if all fighters were skill 1, would that help mitigate them?
I think it would.
Yeah, because they would probably be taking damage before they ever got a shot off. And,
yeah, you know what? I want to put them skill 0. Because then generic captains would still fire before them, and I think that would help a lot.
Because then they're still useful, because they're still definitely eating shots, because you still want to shoot at them.
Right.
But it's not quite as strong and overpowering as it is beforehand.
Right, whereas ignoring them is a tactical choice, and you might be able to do some real damage before they get a chance to shoot back.
So I think we made the full round of everything anyone's ever complained about Star Trek now.
Wait, nobody complained about
nobody complained about cloaking. Nobody complained about cloaked mines. Nobody complained about attack cancellation. Nobody complained about costs, dispersion field. All these things have come up. But nobody complained. Oh, nobody complained about Klingons. Nobody complained about the release schedule. Nobody complained about the Gen Con pack.
Hey, my wallet is complaining about the release schedule. Thank you.
Wait. Nobody complained about Keldon's.
Nobody complained about Keldon's. That's right.
Like a month, okay?
What? God, what am I missing? Like, I will say this: I love you, Attack Wing community, but if there is one thing you guys love to do, it is complain about everything.
Wait. Retail Deep Space Nine versus OP Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that's a good one. Though slightly more legitimate than many of these in my eyes. That may be because I own one.
Oh God! And I will throw one last complaint in. Was that $100 retail cube that has absolutely no reason to buy it. I mean, Lacuta stunk. I mean,
he was the only card in it,
and it wasn't even any good.
Yeah, so Daniel, you missed it. The three of us we Skyped and we watched Terry's unboxing of it live, and we're like, is that it?
I was so drunk. Oh
we were recording it, and we could not air it because Tucker was being belligerent.
I was being
That's putting it mildly.
I am so embarrassed by what I said on that. Oh my God.
It's okay. No one else knows about it but us, Tucker.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I have bought one of everything to have it. You know, like I said, multiples of others, except for that cube. And the only reason I own it is because I won it at Nationals. Other than that, that'd be the one thing I never owned because there was nothing about it that was worth buying.
I might have bought the DS9 if I didn't win one, but the fact that I won one and the one that they sold retail came with more kind of irks me. And now I don't want to buy it on principle.
I mean, I just don't want to pay $100 for a maneuver dial for a ship I already have. I want the maneuver dial. I just don't want,
Yeah.
If anybody sees on like the trading community, which I'm not on for various reasons, or on eBay, like somebody just selling the maneuver dial for one of those, like let me know. I'll pick that up.
Well, and that was like Gen Con. I remember when everybody had to have one of those, and I paid $40 for a stinking card, and I don't even use it anymore.
Gen Con, yeah.
I have a build that might use him, but it's been a while since I pulled him out of the binder.
And now I own like 4 or 5 of them because I've won so many of them. But, like I said, I don't even use them. And
I know, right?
One time you had to have him.
That was the joy of going to 2 regionals. I had a stack of like 6 Gen Cons and 6 DS9 packs.
Right? Like I have all of this stuff. And God, blind boosters. That was another one I complained about. Like, how many Kazon ships do you have, you guys? How many
2.
What are they called?
I have 2 of every blind.
Valkyries?
Oh God, the banana boats and
the one. What the hell is this name? It's not Valjean. It is the
Gavroche.
Gavroche. How many Gavroches are there floating around out there that just don't need to be?
Oh, and how many of those Ferengis ones are floating around out there?
Yeah.
Poor Box Marauder.
Box Marauder. Although, I liked drawing that because it had that, the mind...
The Thought Maker?
Oh, yeah.
Thought Maker. That was kind of a nice little card.
As blind, all of them except maybe Gavroche were nice, but, like, now they're just...
And they did get away... They have done away with them for now. Maybe we'll see them again in the future, but Q Continuum at least doesn't have blinds.
Oh, I thought the plan was to have blind boosters on the Q Continuum.
Nope.
Not that I've seen yet. And the one venue down here that's running by me, oh, it's glorious. I can get in a tournament for $5 again.
There you
that's
go.
nice.
Yep. We had one the other day where I got in. I was just like, $5? Really? That's all?
What? Only $5 for a tournament? Man, I'm feeling spoiled now. It's like going back in time to Dominion 1.
Good old Dominion Wars.
It's like, yeah, it's $5 entry. It's like, okay, that's cool. And then the one place that charged $10 for entry, I was like, man, you guys are so expensive. Oh, how times have changed.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, it's getting to be about that time. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Anyone have anything to finish up on? News today. There have been a lot of previews dropped, including the USS Hood, which is the OP1 prize that we'll probably be going over next week. The OP1 for Q Collective. Q Collective. Well, it is a Q Collective, isn't it?
The Continuum?
Q Continuum. We've got some lovely ISS Avenger we haven't gone over yet, as well as Kiana Prime, which I don't know what to think about Kiana Prime, but hopefully I have a week to think it over. And
I like this little torpedo card. It looked pretty nice.
Shield Breaker. And someone also spoiled the Q Continuum Scenario 1 card, so we'll be looking at the Q scenario at some time in the near future as well. So, Daniel, what are you doing now that you are a national champion? What is your plans for Star Trek in the next near future?
Just get some practice up and get ready for Worlds coming up here. Gotta, hope to have a good showing there. I plan on, playing in the second qualifying just to get some games in. That's the plan right now. And in the first one, I was planning on doing some picture taking and downloading into Facebook some of the builds and what people are doing there, because people are always asking. I figured I've got the time since I'm not required to play in one of those to get in. Other than that, I think maybe we'll have one OP locally here for the very beginning of the Q Continuum. The only kind of competitive action we'll see here. Other than that, just practice. See what other builds might pop up out there, and pray for the best at Worlds, and hope to see you guys there.
Haha. Excellent. David, anything interesting over by you?
No, just Venue's got peak performance and Q scheduled, so I'm happy about that.
Man, I still haven't even gotten around to Matter of Honor yet.
Yeah.
But the venue near me is trying to speed through them, so they've actually got a plan for Q Continuum in like the next 2 weeks. They have extra Dominion War, so they're doing Dominion War OPs 4, 5, and 6 in the next month and a half. And then they have Matter of Honor sometime like beginning of June.
Okay.
It's weird, but hey, they're catching up, and so I'll finally have a place to play again.
Nice.
Yay.
Are you TOing or playing or?
Actually playing.
Oh, cool. They found somebody to TO.
Well, they actually have a remarkable little Star Trek following there that just kind of developed in the last few months. So they're still in the newlywed stage, I guess.
So you're going to be experimenting with new and exciting builds and not crushing their hopes and dreams with Borg, right?
Trying to destroy the venue before it even gets up and going.
Hey, okay, literally there is a person who goes by Q there. And he whooped me in the last D&D tournament a couple weeks back. I have to pay him back in Star Trek.
But he's an omnipotent being.
How do you know that he isn't a Q?
He's too short to be a Q?
If he snaps his fingers and your ship vanishes, you know you are dealing with things beyond your means.
Hey, Q never snapped his finger. He did that little wavy two-finger thing. And there was a little shine to it. Tucker, anything?
Q snapped his fingers.
I think that was the one that tried to kill himself on Voyager.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Quinn, right? That was his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, last but certainly not least, Tucker, anything for you the couple coming weeks, or are you still in the middle of nowhere with your Star Trek?
I'm still in the middle of nowhere.
But you will be at Origins.
I will be at Origins, yeah, and like I will probably need to play test with you just because I need to remember how to play this damn game. Yeah, no, I'm sitting out here. Can I complain about one thing for a sec? I am in the middle of the Wild West. Why can I not find Doomtown players? Okay, I'm done.
Oh, you're a Doomtown guy?
Yes. Are you kidding? I've been playing Doomtown. Do you want to know one of my earliest gaming memories? Do you want to just picture this, okay? Precocious little 9-year-old Tucker wanders into the Wizards of the Coast store. That's how old this story is. His eyes wide with hope, clutching his terribly made 52-card Doomtown deck, and goes up to one of the employees in their nice Wizards of the Coast polo shirts and says, "Hey, mister, is this where the Quick Draw League is?" And he looks at his coworker buddy and laughs and says, "Yes, but you're literally the first person ever to ask." That was the sound. This was 15 years ago, and I still remember this. Like, this is how... I love this game, and nobody else does. That's the answer.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Yeah.
Before Tucker goes on another sad story that makes us all cry.
I'll get my violin. Hold on.
Tiny violin. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Special thanks, of course, to Daniel. Thank you for joining us, U.S. National Champion.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'll come on anytime. Just let me know.
Cool. All right.
We gonna do it. You guys gonna be doing anything while you're up at Worlds?
Maybe. We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, I'd like to is the answer, but we'll see.
But yes. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you had a great time, and hope to see you all at Origins for the World Qualifier and plays. And once again, whenever you're playing Star Trek Attack Wing, may Q be generous with your dice. Have a good night, everybody.
State of the Federation is a production of Will S. in association with Tucker C. and David M. We are not associated or affiliated with WizKids games, and except where specified, WizKids did not endorse or approve any of our podcasts. All copyrights are copyright of their respective rights holders.